Hello, welcome back to the Trek Way. This is Lord Deck's thoughts and opinions on Season 5, Episode 6. I am joined by Grey Gamer 25 as always. And we have literally just watched the episode and we just want to give our literal, raw, immediate opinions. I think it's the way forward. I really enjoyed this episode. Great.
Yeah,
That's the short synopsis before we start. Are you the same?
Yep, pretty much. It was pretty good. My thing is I finally see Dr. Tiana, which they waited way too long. 5 episodes of barely seeing her. And now, I'll go back to Dr. Cat anytime.
Or Dr. T.
Dr. T, yeah, Dr. T.
Dr.
Or Mr. T, but,
Mr. T. It's all right. So we'll break down a couple of things, some kind of opinions, some funny points that we usually do. So the kind of gist of this episode is the Cerritos is kind of doing a little bit of peace brokering between two races, the cubes and the orbs. Now, if this was not on Lord Dex, I'd be like, you're taking the piss, guys, because even in Star Trek, you don't get that ridiculous, right? But I can just about let it slide because it's Lord Dex. It's really good. So they have to do this peace thing between them. They're playing up the cubes and the orbs against one another. And they keep bitching and moaning, the cubes and the orbs, about things being either too pointy or too round or, little silly, stupid things like that. What did you make of the cubes and the orbs? Are you like me, Gray, where you'd normally think it's ridiculous, but you'll let it slide because it's Lord Deck?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I guess I felt it was a little ridiculous at first, but then after I started seeing what they're trying to accomplish in the episode, it made for the episode to be pretty funny. So, and there was a lot of good humor in this one, which was great. And for once, they didn't really. I mean, they kind of had a second subplot, but it wasn't so interfering as to, again, the episode was more whole and more just more of everything. It flowed nicely. The jokes were good, and stuff. And so I love it when they do that. When they can do that properly, it's great. When they try to just cram too much stuff in, you lose it. But this was good.
It's only 24 minutes long an episode. There's no way you can have more than a plot and a subplot at a push. It's there are lots of little funny lines. The cubes and the orbs, like the little silly things that they don't like one. I think the cubes didn't like Article 10 in the treaty because the zero of the 10 was too round. Little stupid things like that. So they have to try and broker this peace deal, and it's not easy. At the same time, though, the kind of subplot is a new ensign on board. Basically, she's a demigod, which, you don't really see that really much in Star Trek. I
have not even seen that race mentioned since the original TOS episode a long time ago.
TOS episode, right? Got you.
Yeah, and I was just like, well, because when I saw her wearing the whatever they call it on her head, the flowery little ring, I thought it was just a headpiece. Apparently we find out in the episode that it's inherited and is actually attached to her skull. She can't just rip it off. So when I first saw it, I'm going like, oh, I've seen that before. And then I actually ended up finding out it was referring to that episode way back. And I'm like, okay. Because if I remember the episode, it's been a long time, but I thought that the Zeus guy or whatever was more of a construct or a construct created by some type of machine or whatever. I got to go back and look at the episode. So I didn't really think that was a real being per se. But to find out that I guess apparently it is, it was kind of interesting. So that was an interesting twist. I like how they throw little things in there where they do a little research and mess with us.
She's essentially the ensign. She's essentially like a descendant, or not a descendant, she's like the daughter of like the Zeus character or something like that. So she is demigod. So I'm thinking immediately like maybe she's pals with Thor, because he's a demigod, maybe they go to the same kind of demigod kind of bar or something, And I'm thinking, what kind of powers and stuff has she got? Because, demigods kind of what part god or something, not full god, but like partial god. And she's on board. She's not doing well. She's working in engineering. She's trying to do things to improve efficiency and systems and whatnot. And she keeps making an arse of it. And you notice at the start some kind of electrical outburst from her, which I didn't click until later on, despite her being
neither did I. I was like,
the daughter of Zeus. Like really? But I thought it was like maybe from the things she was trying to manipulate or the pad in her hand, but no, it was actually from her. And she keeps making an arse of it to the point where we're like, okay, we're going to have to boot her off the Cerritos. She's been on 6 ships already. Like, this won't work. But Mariner sees something in her. She's like, let me take her under. She's a lieutenant now, isn't she? So let me take her under my wing. And, you know, I was once like that. Maybe I can help her out. And then she does kind of try and help her out a little bit. But it doesn't help that one of the cubes and one of the orbs disappears. One of the cubes is they see like residue inside one of the quarters, which we'll get to later on.
And it looks like a splattered cube on a wall. Just like,
we think, it's like maybe been vaporized or something, you know, and that's what's left of it. And we thought maybe one of the orbs has done it. So they corner one of the orbs in a kind of very detective style way.
I get it. You cornered one of the orbs.
Oh, no.
The episode was full of stuff like this. Where there was one scene, the captain was walking down the hall, and she said that the orbs told her if they could get rid of the edges on the ship.
Yeah.
And she's going, you don't know any edges are on a starship? That was great. It was like, okay.
No one does. There are little lines of light that I keep putting those little one-liners in there. So, they do their kind of detective thing on her. Well, the ensign does. It's going a little bit gung-ho. And the orb is a little bit freaked out and kind of makes a break for it, making itself look guilty. But they go chasing after it. You know, Mariner's like, you know, you need to chill. Like, you're going a bit too much. And then they start their little detective thing looking for evidence.
Mm-hmm.
They do find evidence in the cubes. The orbs. I'm getting confused. The orbs quarters, right? That maybe kind of makes it look liable and guilty. And it's getting a little bit silly at this stage, but that's why we love it, Grace. It's low deck humor, isn't it? We're big fans of that. So there is actually maybe a little small plot C. We can't forget the boiler thing. Now, the reason he's been growing all this beard and stubble and stuff is, as we kind of thought, he wanted to look like his mirror self. The one that's been like captain or acting captain so many times and has like the full facial hair and is so confident and great. And he's got a little data pad from the other universe that everyone knows about. Like, he thought he kept it a secret.
Yeah, he's kept it a secret all this time. Everybody knows it.
Yeah,
he's like,
we can tell it's like a little bit thinner. And it's red. You haven't noticed it's red. Oh, yeah, it's red as well. Different color.
Nobody notices. It's a bright red, but no one notices. They go, oh, yeah, you're right.
He's flipping through it, and no pun intended. And then he gets to the bit where he sees an interaction with his alternate self and Dr. Tiana, your favourite character, or my favourite character as well, to be fair. I thought, the pals, how do we become? I want to be pals with the Doctor, you know, Doctor's cool. And he's nicknamed Flip. So he goes down to the med centre, the sick bay, trying to, he just, you know, he kept saying flip. You say flip one more time, she says, I will literally knock the shit out of you.
Yeah, the bleeps are coming.
She does literally one point go nuts. And like, right, you know, I've had enough of this stuff.
But wait, let's back up a second. The funniest part in that whole thing was that Boimler decided, how am I going to get in with Dr. Tiana so well that this will work and I'll become what the other person was. And he goes and he starts analyzing stuff and he goes like, oh, I got to start talking her language. And I'm sitting there going, I'm thinking like, what, cat language? And he goes, then they go, no, cursing. So it was great. Boimler goes in there and he starts calling her an effing this and a mother effing and blah, blah, blah. And then they're bleeping all this stuff out.
So you called me what?
And we're sitting there thinking like, "Oh, this is gonna be interesting." Like Tana would either go for it or not, and she
Yeah.
didn't go for it. And she's going like, "What?" And everybody in the sick bay, all the people working in sick bay, all go, "Oh!" And they all start looking, and Tiana's going, "What did you call me?" And then she rips them apart with her claws.
Uh,
Poor Boimler's like these pieces of his clothes are flying everywhere, and he's sitting there going like, "Oh!"
and then she curses and swears even more as she's doing that.
Yeah.
Like beep beep, the bleep machine's going in overdrive.
Oh yeah, yeah. God,
Yeah.
I would love to see them put that scene out with all the bleeps gone and all the real words in there. I would be so hilarious. It would be even funnier than it was.
Why they even bleep? I think they do it on purpose because they've
Because kids are
sworn on the show
watching it,
for.
so they're because some
No,
kids
it's
are watching.
no, it's not Prodigy. That's an adult show. That it's
Yeah,
like
but kids still watch it. I mean, so they want to be a little whatever. But I don't see why they couldn't come out with the R-rated version, so to speak. I mean,
true. It's more work, time, and money to do that. That's why two versions of a show.
but
But
it
yeah, I'm
isn't
with
really
you.
because from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, but from what I understand is that the actors actually did do all the curse words for real.
Oh yeah, you have to.
And the reason they did it for real is because they needed to get into the emotion of it, and so they literally went back and just bleeped them out. So we know the recordings are there, so it wouldn't take too much just to drop the recording in there, without the
Adds to
bleeps,
it.
man.
It adds to it, man. I don't know. It's somehow it kind of works in a weird way.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, the poor Boiler is literally getting his arse absolutely kicked
yeah,
with Tiana, so it doesn't work too well. We proceed on with, we get vibes of, as I said to you, Star Trek 6 Undiscovered Country, where the ensign and Mariner are going about looking for evidence.
mm,
And it's not going too well with things, like because one of the cubes and one of the orbs have disappeared, the two think that both races think they're being accused, and they literally just they lose their shit, and they
right.
go basically. They all come out the ship and they turn into a giant orb and
And
a
a
giant
giant
cube,
cube.
and they start just blasting each other. And I'm saying to Gray, well, Cerritos is taking a pounding in the ship
Oh
because they were
God.
blasting each other in the ship before going out, and they're going to blast each other as mega shapes. And I'm saying to
Yeah.
Gray, get out of the way, Cerritos.
I know, they don't even
Seriously.
move. They just sit there
Yes, they're being pummeled. They're probably low in power, but come on, man, you got thrusters. Thrusters are gas operated. Just fucking move, man. Just get out of the way. It's a
Yeah.
silly thing. It's a
It's,
cartoon. Let it slide.
we haven't mentioned this in a long time, but I always refer to it as cartoon logic because they just, when they want to get
Yeah.
away with something, they kind of just do it. and
When they
just
don't do
kinda-
that, they don't do the live stuff often because they know they can't get away with that. They have to explain it, don't
Exactly.
they? Yeah. So that was kind of epic. And then just as they thought it's not going to go any further with the ensign, who we actually find evidence in her locker about the orbs, and she just explains, "Listen, I kind of dropped in on them. I saw the mess, the accident in the quarters with the cube, and I kind of had evidence because I knew everyone would blame me." Mariner dropped that a bit too easy, I thought. But, again, cartoon logic. I'm not going to go with Gray. And then the two of them are kind of like pals again. They actually look like they're both going to get thrown off the bridge, Mariner and the ensign, until the ensign goes, well, listen, I actually do know some engineering things. So she has a great little trick of, basically, let's tractor both of them, the giant cube and the giant orb, and literally let's at the same time suck some of the energy from them, which will depower them and actually get our shields back up and running, which is smart.
Yeah,
I get
good.
it. It's
Yeah.
cool. And they do that at the same time, and they depower the orbs and the cubes, and then just as they're about to, I think, was it the orb or the square that said, listen, or the cubes, we don't need power
We don't need power,
defeat
yeah.
you. Prepare to be bounced upon or something.
Exactly. And they're trying to bounce on each other, anything they can do, even without power. It was
It was funny. It's
Yeah.
that dry sense of humor, man. I loving it,
Yeah.
So yeah, literally, as they're about to have a square goal with one another, see what I done there. a little tight, the missing square, cube, sorry, and the missing the orb come through. And they'll be like, yeah, we've been like just making love and getting together and having a thing. And everyone's like, what the hell? You've been making out? Like, no, come on, like mortal enemies. Like, yeah.
And by the way, I don't know about the other people, but that was broadcast to me right away when I started hearing about that it was a guy and a girl and an orb and a cube, and they both disappeared together. I'm going, yeah, here comes the boyfriend girlfriend thing.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting a kid though, right? I don't think, but it ended up we see a kid, and then of course it looks like a cube on the top and an orb on the bottom. You know, it's good. And what I thought was funny though is when the kid was like making comments to the orbs and the cubes, and then he did something, I forgot what it was. But the father cube goes like, "What's going on? I've only been a parent for 5 minutes."
Yeah, he basically shits, and he doesn't know what to do with that.
What's even funnier is that apparently the kid was born 5 minutes ago.
Very speedy reproductive system.
Yeah.
It's humans that are very slow with their reproductive systems, mate. 9 months is on the longer side, actually. So no, it was pretty amusing, that I must admit. The orbs and the cubes actually find the little kid kind of adorable, so he saved the piece, which is good. But with Boimler still trying to be pals with Tiana, it doesn't kind of works out in a good way, because as there is a square go inside before they turn into Mega Orb and Mega Cube, there's like firefight between the two races with their energy weapons inside, and the ensign has to use her god powers or demigod powers, like the Zeus powers, go up and try and depower them all. And she kind of does a bit, but it kind of backfires. She stores too much energy. She has to let it all go. And it's all the lightning bolts that come out of her, like Zeus.
Yeah.
Because earlier on, she does it in the episode. If you remember, she was like, yeah, I'm a demigod. I tried to hide this stuff. And she kind of, does what Zeus does with the electricity, turns it into a lightning bolt. But then the lightning bolt goes flaccid.
A limp lightning bolt.
A limp
lightning bolt. When the ones fell out of the sky when she had to let all the power go, all of them were limp and flaccid. They're all just like.
But not the one that hits Boimler later on. Literally, it hits some in the arse. Literally gets lodged in there, and it just pans back to Tiana. It's as if one of these shots where they don't change much, because for drawing cartoons, it's time and it's expensive to do that. And it's literally, she's just sitting there like that, kneeled beside him, staring at this lightning bolt coming out of his arse. He doesn't know what to do. Oh, man.
When they start, she has to operate, and all of a sudden, like, they have like semi-serious music going on, and she's grabbing all these freaking different tools and crap.
Someone's dabbing the sweat.
Oh, yeah. She's pulling these pieces of lightning bolt out of his butt. It's like, and she's putting him down. And this is ultimately how she becomes friends with him, because she's sitting there going like, how that this procedure's never been done, and that she's going to call it the Tiana procedure or something like that, and that she's going to get recognized by the medical community. And so all of a sudden now she's happy with Boimler because of this happening, and tells him, hey, listen, come to the book club I do, which is already funny in its own way. Can you imagine? She's doing a book club of what?
And his new nickname, which we can't really say here, but it's basically FUCKO. That's his new nickname going forwards. You've got a nickname. It's not Flip, it's FUCKO instead, which is for it. So that is. Listen, we hadn't seen much of Dr. Cat.
No, and that was a bummer.
You've got me doing it as well, great now. Tiana, Christ against Dr. T.
No Dr. Cat in the first 5 episodes, except a teeny bit.
Was it worth the wait?
Well, I'm only going to say it's worth the wait because I love the character, but no, they waited way too long. I mean, halfway through the season.
But it was really good, this, to make up for it.
It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, she was letting loose with a whole bunch of shit. I'm seeing her rolling. I'm laughing so much. She's going, you please.
When she's clawing and scratching him, and she's going, meow, and making this cat screeches. And
she was doing WWE moves on him, too. She was coming down like.
She jumped up with it. Yeah, people's elbow, man. It's how that has to heal him right after, so it's the whole point. So that was really, really amusing. Excuse me, a really good episode. I enjoyed that. What would you give it out of 10, Gray?
I'm willing to go with a 9. They did a really good job on this one. I mean, even though they followed a couple, maybe 2 other plot lines, it wasn't so much that you were getting distracted. It all just kind of blended in very nicely to everything. You didn't feel like you were rushed, or you didn't feel like you were being like, huh, what? You know, stuff. We've seen episodes where you and I were going like, well, wait a minute.
See, you can have 3 or 4 plot lines technically, Gray, right? Although it's difficult to do in 24 minutes.
It's very difficult to do, but because they pulled it off,
you need a good writer to link them all together seamlessly, don't you?
Right.
And
I think it has a lot to do with the writers. It also has a lot to do with the directing and et cetera. But this is the way it should be done. This is when they're at their best and they can do it like this, it's so much more enjoyable.
Oh,
you know, and you can tell the quality is up a notch when they're all clicking on cylinders. So it's,
firing all cylinders, Gray.
Yep. Well, whatever.
Or orbs or cubes.
Or orbs or cubes.
Any shape you want, yeah.
I'm waiting for the triangle to show up next time.
Oh no, that'll be the third race or something. Wait, you see. No, I would give it a 9 out of 10 as well. Almost perfection again. That's 2 9 out of 10s in a row. That is very well going. Dex, well done. Only 4 episodes left, which is a shame, but you know, we'll go out with a bang, hopefully. We will be back, of course, next week, but we're going to maybe try and squeeze in a special next week on the recent reunification special video from the Roddenberry archives. That is Gene's son does. The great thing, he's got lots of content in there. A recent one that they've done between basically Kirk and Spock, which is very, very sweet. We'll just talk about that and give our review, our opinions on it. And that'll be with you like Monday or Tuesday next week. But we'll sign off there. Great. Thank you very much for that one, mate. And thank you for everyone that tuned in to listen and watch. We will see you soon. Take it easy and say goodbye to people, Greg.
Live long and prosper, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.